Hello, my name is Matthew Isbell, also known as the Bama Beach Bum. I have a YouTube channel that I run locally. I fish around Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Fort Morgan, mostly land-based fishing, primarily surf fishing, and I do bounce around inshore and on the beach and on the piers around the area. I film content weekly. I try to post 2 to 3 videos a week. But Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism and myself wanted to give you guys a video of what's inside my tackle box. So I'm going to go over what I carry with me on most days. This is really simple. It's 3 small tackle boxes, and I'm going to go over each one, what's inside. I literally just pulled these out of my car. This is what I carry with me most days I go out. So you're going to get a real look at what I use day in, day out to catch fish here around the Alabama Gulf Coast. I've put the GoPro on so you can get a first-person look at my tackle. I'm going to go over each one, and we're just going to work our way through these, but I've got all 3 here. But we're going to start with this one. This is my tackle box with my hard plastics, top waters, suspending baits, jerk baits. This is the Halco popper. I've got 2 of them in a couple of different color selections, but this is a popper Topwater Lure, and I use this. This is the 105 size. They have a few different sizes with the Halcos, but I like this one for a lot of different species around the area. For bluefish, redfish, trout, jack crevalle, they all love this lure, and is weighted well, and you can cast it really far. Same Halco popper, just a little bit different color. Got the red head with the pearl body. My next Topwater lures, these are walk the dog style baits. These 2 here in the middle, and this is a Heddon 1-knocker spook. I use this lure primarily for the beach. If I'm throwing Topwater lures on the beach side, on the Gulf side, this is the one that I like. The sound this knocker makes is a little bit deeper, and I like that sound for when I'm fishing on the Gulf side. When I'm fishing inshore, this is a Mirrodine Topwater, that's the brand, and the sound is a little bit higher pitched, and I like it for inshore. So for trout, redfish, bluefish, same thing here, but generally I'm going to use this one inshore and this one on the Gulf side. These are a couple of Mirrodine twitch baits. They're basically the same. There's a little bit different color. This one's got a little bit of kind of like a green color to its back. This one's black. Really no difference. The hooks are a little bit different because I have replaced some of these hooks because they do rust over time. But I use these for trout, bluefish, redfish. These are great lures. They're suspending twitch baits. They suspend underneath the surface about 6 inches, and you just twitch it as you move it through the water, and it rattles, makes a lot of disturbance. It flashes. They're real flashy underneath the water, so they get a lot of attention, and these are great baits for inshore and beach fishing. And then finally, I've got some larger plugs. These are jerk baits. Both of these are the Rapala X-Wraps, just different sizes. Both of these plugs will work great for trout and redfish and bluefish. I do throw this bigger one if I am targeting king mackerel or jack crevalle from the pier or from the jetties. Great lure for that. It also sinks down to about 12 feet, and you can bring it back like a straight retrieve, or you can twitch it. Either way, both retrieves work great. Same deal here. This one I think suspends down about 6 to 10 feet, and you can do the same thing with it. Next up, I've got some of my soft plastics and spoons. Now, these are just some larger swim baits that I have in here when I say soft plastics, and also a shrimp, which I do have some backups stowed away for those, but I'll get to that in a second. But these larger swim baits, they're great for big bull redfish. We do occasionally, throughout the summer, we do get opportunities at tarpon. I've personally not landed one yet, but this is what I throw when I am trying to hook one of those big, huge tarpon. Jack crevalle also will hit these larger swim baits. It's a 6-inch swim bait, and it's also 2 ounces, so you can cast it pretty far. I've got this style. I also have another 2-ounce swim bait that's got the split tail on it that's a little bit smaller profile, so you can go after those slot redfish, possibly trout, and bluefish with it. And this is actually a topwater swim bait. It stays on top of the water. It looks like a mullet just cruising across the top of the water. You can't cast this one as far. It's real lightweight. It's hollow, so it does float on top of the water. But a great imitation for mullet. Good for redfish and trout. Up at the top, I've got some diamond jigs and spoons. These are my most favorite lures to use in the surf. They catch a lot of species. You can cast them really far. They're very heavy. Both of these are 1.5 ounces. And then this is like a 3/4 of an ounce spoon. And this is just a standard spoon. You can use this inshore. You can use this on the beach. It's great for redfish, great for trout, great for bluefish. And this is just your standard spoon. I think this is a Johnson spoon, I think is the brand of that. This is a Clark spoon, and this is a Gotcha brand spoon. So I've got a few different options of spoons and different sizes. I try to keep a few variations with me each time I go to the beach. But I don't throw these as much inshore, but when you're beach fishing for Spanish mackerel, for bluefish, for bonita, trout will even hit this occasionally. Great lures, and you can cast them really, really far. So it's very important to have that distance when you are fishing on the beach. I've got some jigs down here. These are great for sight casting redfish, black drum potentially. Also, they'll catch pompano. Variation of species. These are just kind of a couple of crab imitation jigs, and you can use them inshore or on the beach on a really calm day. They're very lightweight. They're almost like a fly that you can use on spinning tackle. But very good imitation baits. I honestly can't even remember the brands, but I always hang on to a couple of these just in case I get into a sight casting scenario where I'm throwing at redfish or black drum, or even pompano if I can see them from the pier or from the jetties. Probably my #1 go-to artificial for inshore fishing for trout and redfish and even flounder is a Voodoo shrimp. That's the brand. This is Voodoo, and I always keep these handy. Great artificial lure. This lure looks so realistic moving through the water. It's tough. It holds up. It'll hold up against those croakers, those pinfish that constantly pick at your baits. I use this in so many scenarios when I'm fishing inshore. So great lure to have in your tackle box if you're doing any type of saltwater inshore fishing. Got to go with the Voodoo shrimp. Any kind of shrimp imitation is great because obviously everything eats shrimp. But I found that this is probably my favorite shrimp imitation bait for artificial, the Voodoo shrimp. Always have one of these in my tackle box. And finally, my third tackle box that I always carry with me, this is my terminal tackle. So this is what I use to tie rigs, whether it be pompano rigs or Carolina rigs or rigging up any kind of dropper rig. I use, of course, leader material. My leader is going to vary based on what style of fishing and what species I'm targeting and conditions. That can be a whole nother video, what kind of leader you want to use. But I'm going to use leader material and tie rigs with this. But in here I've got beads, I've got floats. These are just attractants. We use a lot of beads and floats on our pompano rigs. So that's all this is for pompano, for whiting when we're beach fishing. And I tie those rigs. And I've got a variation of colors, sizes, all kinds of variations there. I also have in here just mixed in, again, this is not very organized. This is, I just pulled this right out of my car. So this is what I use. This is literally what I use every day, day in, day out. I've just got some egg weights to use for Carolina rigs when I am rigging up with that. And then over here, I've got some swivels and also some snaps. And that's just for rigging as well. So I've got some barrel swivels. I think these are like 70-pound barrel swivels, which is kind of a lighter barrel swivel. It's one of the smaller ones you're going to find in tackle shops around here. And then just some snaps just in case I need to use the snap for any reason in my rig, whether it be a Carolina rig that I'm using on the beach or a pompano rig to attach my sinker to it. Just have some snaps in here. And then everything else is a variation of hooks and hook sizes, which again, that's another video that we could get into what I'm going to use and why. But I've got everything from 1/0 to size 2 to size 6 circle hooks, and I've got size 4 J hooks. I've got some treble hooks. I've got a couple of these laying around in here somewhere, some larger, I think 7/0 or 6/0 circle hooks for big bull redfish when I'm using cut bait for my Carolina rigs. So a lot of variation in hooks and hook sizes all throughout here, but this is what I use for my terminal tackle when I'm out there on the beach. The great thing about inshore saltwater fishing is you can really keep it very simple. If you noticed, I didn't have a ton of tackle. And that's literally what I use. I carry that with me every day, and that's really all I use. I've got a few little things kind of spread out here and there, but that is the bread and butter of what I use fishing, whether it be inshore, on the beach, on the pier, on the jetties. Those lures and that terminal tackle box gets me by, whether I'm using live bait or artificials or dead bait, whatever I've got, that gets me covered. So you can fish and fish effectively with 3 small tackle boxes inshore saltwater fishing. Thank you so much for watching. From Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism and myself, happy fishing and tight lines.